inside of me. You better watch out if you ignite me. The road ahead of full prophecy to be the greatest feast the world has ever seen. I feed him every day like the bones clean. I feed him all the hate and he grows me. And he gets claws real big, pissed off quick. And if you cross him, you might drop dead. Metaphorically, of course, settling this or never get.
All right, everybody, welcome into Real Talk and Spoon and Pudding, the Christmas Eve edition.
Well, New Year's Eve. What are you talking about? I know you got
Yeah.
You put your hat on. I went and got mine. I said, well, you be Santa Claus. I'll be Krampus.
Yeah, the New Year's Eve. Sorry, we did Christmas Eve last week.
We're a little late today, but I had something early and you had something midday. So, go ahead with your disclaimer if you want to read it. Whatever.
Better than late than never, ain't that right, Red?
Nah, resin. Who's Red? Where'd he go? Oh, that's right.
The primary purpose of this podcast is to educate and share thoughts and opinions. When we have proof and evidence on the topic, it will be brought forth. This podcast does not constitute advice or services to anyone. Spoon and Pudding do not accept any liability or responsibility for anyone, our guests, or anyone's comments or actions based on the material we talk about on our podcast. This podcast is private, non-commercial use, and everyone should ascertain that the information we provide is correct and verified at all times. There shall be no editing, or reproduction of this podcast without prior written permission from Spoon and Pudding. You can reach us at realtalkwithspoonandpudding@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm. So, you wanted to? You sent me something.
I'm gonna start out with this Joe Rogan and this cave deal in Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Secret Freemason
called
you'll never guess what he found inside. 2 days ago, a hiker in Oregon shared a video while he was wandering through the remote mountains. As he embarked on his weekly hike, it was only after 30 minutes of walking that he noticed something strange. There were footprints forming a path far into a plain. He decided to follow these footprints, and just a few minutes later, he stumbled upon a strange cave with a Freemason logo etched at the entrance. About 500 meters inside, he discovered two wooden benches, similar to those in a stadium, placed closely facing each other, just enough space for a group of people to stand between them. Thinking nothing of it, he pressed on. But things started to get weirder as he slowly noticed shoes that could only fit small children scattered on the ground, which eventually led to an entire pile of children's shoes. And that's not all. Strewn among the shoes, a pile of bones of unknown origins surrounding a terrifying wooden chest. The contents of this chest literally shocked the hiker. He took photos of what the chest contained, but I can't post them here. To see them, click on share, then more, then photos.
See, that's what I was trying to click on, and I couldn't find it. And then I looked it up, and I was kind of curious about the Joe Rogan cave and the Freemasons. It's called the Malheur, Malheur, Malheur Cave in Oregon for decades. So it's been a known cave for a long time.
Right.
There is, from the pictures, and I think I sent that to you. I did send that to you. The conspiracy theories around it. So there are, again, you would assume if something legitimate shown something nefarious in modern age, like they weren't just ancient bones in there that they found, but again, that doesn't mean that, people can't dispose of bodies or figured out how to dispose of bodies a lot better.
Yeah, but what you said it's blocked off now where people can't even go in there. So,
well, it's blocked off and there's Mason symbols on it. I don't know if the Masons own it, but, again, you can be a Mason way up into the high levels and be a decent person. I've just always felt like if you're not at the top, you don't really know what's, you have no real idea of what you don't know what you're really going on or what you're supporting. Unless you're really fully at the top. And I'd say that even about all things, Catholic religion, Christianity, the King James Bible, there was reasons that motivated men to do that. I heard some theory the other day that said that one world government, I can't remember what it was. One world government isn't possible unless it's under the auspice of religion. And it was I was watching some guy talk about that, and he said, or no, wait a minute. They were saying under the auspice of aliens, you could get a one world government. And he said the Catholics know this. He said the Catholics have been trying to plan this for a long time. And I've always considered Rome and the Catholics the old evil empire. Rome didn't die; it just changed its coat. It didn't. They took off the emperor, and then you got the pope, and then the Senate become the cardinals and the bishops. To just put on a different mask. They tried to.
I'm gonna read this conspiracy theories surrounding the creepy Oregon cave are beyond bizarre. It's located in a remote southeastern corner of the Beaver State. Mahir Cave in Oregon is a mysterious lava tube cave owned by the Masonic Lodge of Burns. For decades, the Masons have been holding annual gatherings deep within this cave, and conspiracy theorists claim that this place is shrouded in mystery. Whether or not these stories are true, there is no denying that Mahir Cave is one of the creepiest spots in Oregon, and it requires the right equipment to explore if you're given the chance. Let's explore the cave in Oregon, which was used by Freemasons organizations for decades before closing in 2019. You'll find about 17 miles east of Crystal Crane Hot Springs in Burns, Oregon. The cave is 3,000-foot lava tube cave used by local Native American tribes, early settlers, and other groups throughout history. In 1938, two members of the Robert Burns Masonic Lodge, Ulysses S. Hackney and Charles W. Logan, came up with the idea of holding a Freemason meeting inside the cave in Oregon. The first official meeting of the Masons at the cave was held on October 1st, 1938. For decades, Masons from across the country would gather within the depths of this cave for the annual Mahir Cave event. For years, the Freemason group in Oregon held their meetings in this cave, cleaning and maintaining the area. But of course, a group holding private meetings in a creepy cave caused rumors and conspiracy theories to swirl about regarding both the Masons and cave itself. According to local legends, Native Americans believed that this cave was a passageway to the underworld. Some of the crazy theories claim that this creepy cave in Oregon played host to satanic rituals and devil worship. And some even believe the cave could be connected to an underground tunnel network spanning the entire United States, connecting with the other caves owned by Freemasons. In any case, there's no denying that this Freemason cave is one of the creepiest places in Oregon, and its recent closure makes it all the more intriguing. And it shows different pictures of the cave. It shows like the picture where they had like little wooden bleachers they had set up. And this one picture looks like there's nothing but bones and stuff on the ground, but you can't really make out what it is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
well, that was where I wanted to fact check it or try to. Go ahead.
Unfortunately, the cave has been closed since 2019 when local Masons erected a gate to the cave in order to stop the vandalism and graffiti that plagued the site. Over the years, the stone floor had been damaged as some visitors attempted to burn the bleachers located inside. The cave was also addled with garbage and graffiti too. While you can't explore the cave anymore, if you'd like to see more from the inside of Mahir Cave, watch the video from YouTube user water_skipper. So as of 19, nobody go in there. And I guess this video probably came prior to 2019.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, you see your stuff. You watch TikTok more than I do, or you watch those Facebook reels with a lot of TikTok garbage. I don't like TikTok. I've got suspicions about all the social media websites, and I barely use them if I can. So what do you think?
I think there's some truth to it.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, they've controlled it for so many years and they still own it. And now they got it blocked off. So any truth behind them, they've already got it covered up, destroyed. You'll never know.
Yeah. Well, darn, that Tennessean Get subscribed. I'm trying to go to that one because we talked about that last week. Now it won't let me see the article. Wants me to pay. I'm not paying. Or we were talking about the Tennessee school program.
The education money.
I sent it to you.
I can see it.
I clicked on that link I sent you, and I forwarded it to you from the person that gave us the old link.
Tennessee lawmakers wrap up second week of hearings on federal education money. Here's what to know. That one?
I think so. Oh, well.
Yeah, I got it. You want me to read it?
Okay. Oh, I didn't want to switch topics unless you're done with the
I'm done with that.
Mulheller Cave or whatever.
Yeah, I'm pretty much done with it.
Well, what I wanted to say go ahead.
That's the one you sent me. It pulled up. The
Tennessean? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Mine's showing like a pay screen. I'm like, well, I'm not paying for that. We already talked a lot about it ad nauseum last week.
Yeah. You want me to read this or no?
I just wanted to remind people that tomorrow could be the end of the petrodollar or the beginning of the end. This was back from August, but it says, the BRICS nations are coming of age at its annual summit in Johannesburg last week. The bloc of 5 emerging countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, announced plans to expand their first time since 2010 on January 1st, 2024. The BRICS will welcome 6 new members: Saudi Arabia, Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia. And by the way, Ethiopia just defaulted on its debt. So very, very suspicious that they defaulted on their debt like Friday. Iran and the United Arab Emirates, 3 of the OPEC big guys. The expansion will further establish the group as its counterbalance to the G7's global influence, catapulting BRICS' share of global GDP to 36%, as well as covering nearly half of the world's populations, with dozens more applying. That's how that one kind of followed in. And then, let's see, where's the next one I had? Okay. This is from the greetings from the desk of the Tricontinental Institute for Social Research. On the last day of BRICS summit in Johannesburg, blah, blah, blah. Kind of the same thing, but it goes into more detailed defining things. Welcome 6 new members. We already read that. Now encompasses 47.3% of the world's population. That's a big number of the population under BRICS nations. With the combined global gross domestic product by purchasing power parity, or PPP, as they're going to go on, of 36.4% in comparison through the G7 states, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States account for merely 10% of the world's population. Their share of the global GDP by PPP of 30.4%, 2021. The BRICS nations that today form the expansive BRICS group were responsible for 38.3%. So they're getting very huge. Let's see, which order are we at here? They're G7. I don't know which order I had them in. Shit. They got out of order. Oh, well. I did some research on a lot of this and was, going through it. And yeah, the BRICS is, as of tomorrow, BRICS is huge. If you want to read these, I don't know which order they are. I might not have downloaded them all. That's the first one of this bigger article from the Tricontinental.
So are they going out tomorrow, or are they threatening?
No, them 6 nations back in August, those 6 nations were granted to be part of BRICS. So now it's not just 5 countries in BRICS. There's 11 countries in BRICS. They encompass 47.3% of the population, and the amount of GDP. Let me see. It says
So you got United Kingdom, the United States, Japan, China.
You got the 7, the GDP. Let me go back to that. So the 7 countries that are in the G7 are, the G7 states: Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Those are the G7. They're the ones that right now are in control. As of tomorrow, there's going to be 11 countries in BRICS. So there's going to be a BRICS 11, or you can call it B11, whatever you want to call it. What they're saying is you're going to have Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa welcome 6 new members. Argentina, Egypt,
What's
Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. So there's a major shift coming in.
what's up to 20 in it?
Huh?
You had 7, you added 6, that's 13, and you read off about 6 or 7.
No. The G7 didn't add nobody. BRICS is the ones who added.
BRICS.
Yeah, no. BRICS went from 5 to 11. Their percentages are going up to 47.3% of the population. And it says their combined global gross domestic product by purchasing power is 36.4% in comparison to the G7. The G7's fallen. I mean, it's getting worse and worse for the G7. So the G7's GDP is 30.4. So gross domestic product of the G7, 30.4, as compared to 36.4.
So pretty much tomorrow, January 1 of 2024, they're going to have nearly half the population.
There's a new power structure coming into play as of tomorrow. Trust me, if I could figure out where to buy some of this, I'd buy some BRICS dollars. Here's another interesting.
How long do you think it's going to take for pretty much everything to swap over to BRICS?
Dude, I don't know. I'm just kind of rolling through these. This was interesting. Let me find that one. Let me make sure I'm reading that one off my phone correctly.
What I'm saying is it going to be 70, 75, 80%, and then the American dollar and all that goes crashing, and everybody when the American dollar loses its when you can't buy things, when you look at things like when you look at things you could have bought for 1,000 and now they cost 10,000, the American dollar's toast. But this one's the one that was really kind of interesting to me. It said the West, GDP, greater than the global North. The West, perhaps because of its rapid relative economic decline, is struggling to maintain its hegemony by driving a new Cold War. So this goes back to something we talked about previous, and I keep those in there. This was interesting. This is, like I said, this is from that Tricontinental. Against emergent states such as China, perhaps the single best evidence of the racial, politically, military, and economic plans of the Western powers, political. The Western powers can be summed up by the recent declaration of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, and the European Union, EU. NATO and the EU play complementary, coherent, and mutually reinforcing roles in supporting international peace and security. We will further mobilize the combined set of instruments at our disposal, be they political, economic, or military, to pursue our common objectives to benefit of our 1 billion citizens, or whatever the hell it is. So, there was some interesting stuff in here, but I wanted to bring that back up where, remember we talked about this, where all the people who voted against Congress declaring war and letting NATO declare war for us. Yeah.
No.
That's ridiculous.
Oh. Yeah, it's a big list. It was 18, I think it was 18, 17 or 18 senators. I don't quote me, but 17 or 18 senators said, yes, Congress has to declare war as per the Constitution. And the rest of them said, no. We can, when Article 5 NATO war started, we can join. But that was my one shot for the New Year's Eve because I thought it was relevant. Our mutual friend out there who used to run the Portland Yard, and now he's driving mail around like one of those, what did he call it, fingermen for the government? Oh, you know who I'm talking about.
The bad thing about those mail contracts.
No. He works for the post office. He's postal.
But there's a company out of Portland. They were hired. I don't know if they are started. I think it's B&B.
Oh, I've seen they got new trucks, don't they? B&D or something.
But those mail contracts, if you're not working for the Postal Service, they lose them left and right. It's like, this new.
Oh, I know. They'll spring up. They'll get a contract, and a year later, it's gone.
They spring up, got new trucks, and then all of a sudden, they're gone. So.
Yeah, the Evo. I see a lot of the Evo trucks down there in Goodlettsville post office.
Is that the new one?
I went over there by Kroger. Sometimes I dropped some mail off there the other day and threw it in the mailbox, and I was in the area. So, oh darn, I screwed up. I should have. Never mind. I'll tell you off air. But anyway, I don't really have a whole lot except for that. That was the one thing that really caught my eye. But he sent me those two articles. I read them. I screenshotted the one I had 4 pictures of. I just wanted y'all to so you can see who's in there in that one. It tells you the 6 countries that are joining. But it said 1 week ago in August, but this article is from August 28th, so it's been August 21st. Interesting that they picked August 21st. I believe that was the day we went off the gold standard, I think. When did the U.S. go off? Yeah, I think it was. I know it was in August. The U.S. Okay. Richard Nixon did it. So, Richard Nixon. Go ahead. You got anything else?
Yeah, I was gonna. We done the K to start, and we done the bricks. I was gonna go back to that Tennessean and read it. That's hitting on what we talked about last week about the funding private schools and the coupons and stuff. All right. So Tennessee lawmakers wrap second week of hearings on federal education money. Here's what you need to know. A legislative panel considering rejecting federal school funds for Tennessee concluded 2 weeks of meetings Wednesday with more questions than answers about whether to decline federal funds and replace them with state dollars. The Joint Working Group on Federal Education Funding wrapped Wednesday after holding hearings over the course of 2 weeks. More meetings are expected. Russell Moore, director of Tennessee Comptroller's Office of Research and Education Accountability, laid out a framework of dozens of questions on Wednesday for the panel to consider as they move forward with a policy recommendation for when the General Assembly convenes again in January. The panel also heard testimony Wednesday from representatives of 2 conservative groups who highlighted advantages of rejecting federal funds. They were the only special interest groups permitted to testify during the hearings. No disability rights groups, for instance, addressed the group. Sal Nuzzo, senior vice president of Tallahassee-based conservative James Madison Institute, told House members Wednesday afternoon that school districts receiving federal funds are required to leverage them for student services in fairly determined proportions. He said that federal rulemaking has conflicted with state laws passed in Florida, citing a new state law that requires school staff to refer to students using pronouns based on their biological sex. New proposed federal guidelines as adopted would create a legal basis for school employees to ensure the school district's preferred pronouns are not used. Nunzo said that this puts school districts in the dilemma of having to choose whether to risk their state or federal funding. Nunzo also told lawmakers that Florida didn't suffer when officials declined more than $2 billion in federal school funding, but student achievements have since risen. He later noted that those funds were post-coronavirus supplemental funding and did not support day-to-day school operations. Florida has not rejected funding for federal Title I, the Individual with Disabilities Education Act, or School Nutrition Program, as Tennessee lawmakers are considering. Steve Johnson, a fellow with the State Policy Network Center for Practical Federalism, encouraged the panel to reject the funding in order to guard the authority you have as a state. If you notice some of these job titles I read off, they just make up titles for people,
Well, they don't have to worry about balanced budgets, do they? They just print it as they go.
I'm the second educated director for the horse manure scoop. Just like 10 words out there.
For the Horse Manure School of Agriculture.
Yeah, there you go. He claimed that individual education plans for students struggling academically, which he praised because we don't want a one-size-fits-all policy, are burdensome for teachers to administer because they involve hours and hours of paperwork to ensure federal compliance. He considers those hours an opportunity cost that could be saved if the state allowed districts to administer IEPs without federal compliance requirements. If you turn down those federal funds, it would allow you to innovate in a way nobody has ever done, Johnson said. With the federal regulations right now, it doesn't allow for that innovation. Johnson also cited extensive requirements connected with the USDA school nutrition program, such as permitting schools to serve a protein-enriched macaroni and cheese as a meat alternative. And said that school districts
No, I got a funny one about that.
Would be free to innovate and compete in the state, just providing funding for school lunches and a block grant. I'll stop there.
The funny was, I was at AutoZone in Franklin, Kentucky last week, I think, right before Christmas, and I don't know. I said something smart alecky about the government going to shit, and then the guy said, "Well, I said, oh no, I said something about food. It was about food." About how they're poisonous with our food, and the guy said, "Yeah, well, it's all Michelle Obama's fault." He was a younger kid, maybe 20, late 20s, early 30s, and there was an older fella there at AutoZone, and I kind of looked over at him, and I'm like, "So you remember Reagan, don't you?" He said, "Yep." I said, "You remember when Reagan changed ketchup and called it a vegetable because they didn't have enough vegetables in the school menu?" He said, "Yep, I remember that." And I looked at the young guy, and I said, "Was it Michelle Obama that's been poisonous, or has it been going on for a while?" He couldn't say nothing. I said, "I understand you're a little younger." I said, "But they've been doing this a long time."
Oh yeah.
But you mentioned that about the school lunches or whatever. I thought that was kind of made me think of that. But that's just my I don't know. I guess I'm a cynical asshole anymore.
And then it goes on to
I'll wear my Christmas present next week. I only reason Michelle told me to wear it this week. So but I was like, well, I got my I Heart Beaver coffee cup, and then you mentioned Beaver State of Oregon. And I was like, well, I'm wearing my Beaver shirt too.
Yeah.
Let's go match today. I wasn't gonna put on the old Krampus hoodie, and I seen you had your Christmas hat on. But no, I don't really have a whole lot. Just Happy New Year and wait for the shoes to drop.
Well, then it goes on after that to say what money are they talking about? Tennessee receives about $1.8 billion in program grant funding from federal agencies each year, which supports day-to-day services for advantage students with disabilities, career and technical education opportunities, and the school nutrition program
They created.
Yeah, that's a problem too. Nearly 1 million Tennessee students and more than 100,000 teachers and school staff receive direct support from federal funds. And what are federal funds? Those are taxpayer dollars. All 147 local school districts in Tennessee will receive at least one federal grant, according to the State Department of Education. Out of 1,900 public schools in the state, 1,200 implement a Title I program to support economically disadvantaged children. Throughout the workers group meetings, no lawmaker outlined or proposed specific areas of federal funding to reject. Senator John Lundberg, Republican or Representative Bristol, I guess, who co-chairs the committee, has repeatedly emphasized that the panel's work is not about cutting programs in any way, shape, or form. If the state does not choose to reject federal funding, he says the state would continue to pay for programs funded by the money. It's still not clear. One of the tasks assigned to the panel was identifying federal requirements or strings attached to federal dollars. Several speakers noted federal reporting requirements and requirements that school actually serve lunches to students when they participate in the USDA school nutrition program. The most notable and broad federal requirement tied to the funds is annual achievement testing in reading, math, and science from 3rd through 12th grade. Austin Reed, a federal education policy analyst at the National Conference of State Legislators, told the panel House Speaker Cameron Sexton, Representative Crossville has repeatedly and noted Tennessee's TCAP test as a requirement attached to the federal school funding. Senator Joe Hendley, Representative Hohenwald, asked Wednesday, where are all federal strings attached to dollars are compiled? Do you have a list or any way we could find out the federal requirements we could forego if we did not take the money? State requirements and federal requirements simply asked. That's the whole issue we're trying to face, and with the strings of what requirements that they could forego if they didn't take the money. So, in a nutshell, you got Governor Lee wanting to do the pretty much the coupons for private school.
The vouchers.
Yeah, the vouchers. They're coupons, vouchers. What are you going to call them? And try to get out of federal money and just use state money, which, all in all, yes, we would rather the state run everything, but they're not taking into consideration the tax dollars they get on the federal level for, disability education, for lunch program, for testing, this, that. So there's more questions that need answers, and I don't think they've done their due diligence to make sure they answered those questions or had funds for those areas before they started trying to push all this through, because you can't just make up, on the state level, you can't just print money. Federal level, they can just print money. State level, once you take over something and say, we're going to run this, I mean, it's your baby. You're going to have to come up with the money.
But this is what I've been saying ever since we've been on this show. It's been, the money is the problem. The money is it's the common denominator. It's the root. It's the stranger thing root that's underneath everything on the upside down world. It's the tentacle that's come out. All the states have become dependent on it.
Yep.
All the banks and who's in the power? Well, it's the banks and it's the bank, it's the government. They're the ones that print it. So as long as the states and everybody demands it, well, you're never going to get away from it until you move into a sound money system. Bitcoin, gold, silver. Gold and silver are the easiest because guess what? They are constitutional. No matter how much the federal government may fucking hate it, it's written in the Constitution. That's part of Congress's job, and they don't do their job no more. Not since the Federal Reserve Bill, they haven't done their job because they don't even control the money. They said, well, we'll just outsource the money over to this private bank called the Federal Reserve, and they'll be benevolent people. They won't lie to us. They'll do what they need to, which is not true. But that's why I just sit here all passive aggressive and just whatever. They wouldn't print more money than they could back up. Oh, no, that's never happened.
Our government
no banker in history's ever done that.
No. I said our government wouldn't lie to us.
The banks are the snakes that need to be rooted out. Honestly,
how far is the United States?
That's not a new statement. That's Andrew Jackson from the 1820s for the first Reserve Bank of the United States. You're a den of vipers and thieves, and I intend to root you out. Amen. And he did. He rooted them out. He rooted them out. And we didn't learn our damn lesson, did we? And everybody today sits around and says, "Well, my vote for Trump don't change it." No, it ain't. No, it ain't. No, it ain't, sucker. Trump sitting down there laughing in his Mar-a-Lago land, saying, "You sucker." Mm-hmm. Oh,
well, like Dave Chappelle said about Trump, and I think he's kind of a support of him. But he said it was the first time I ever heard a rich man
come out.
a rich white
Name's
man
rigged.
saying it's all rigged, and he said, they asked him, he said, "Well, how do you know?" He said, "Because I play the system.
Played it.
I'm part of it."
It was funny, but you can't trust that.
Hello. I mean, if Trump's telling you it's rigged and he plays it, he knows it's rigged.
Oh.
What do you think the other 1,000 politicians are doing? They know it's rigged.
I seen something the other day in Chattanooga. Let me see. Hold on a second. Go ahead. Talk about Chappelle real quick.
I wish he would do another special. I love Dave Chappelle. Like the one where he said, "My son called me up it was 2:30 in the morning, and he said, Dad, I don't want you to be mad, but my designated driver left, and we're too drunk to drive home." He said, "Man, don't you know what time it is? 2:30 in the morning. I'm shit-faced." He's like, "Well, it's better than me to go get him than letting a drunk teenager drive home." And he said, "I checked my phone." He said, "Son, you ain't gonna believe this. We're at the same party."
Oh God! No, I think I might have been wrong on that. I won't even bring it up.
You're wrong.
Well, no, I seen a billboard for DONOHO Chevrolet. Isn't that somebody?
Oh,
I wanted to look it up.
The do
No, I'm not
knows?
gonna say. I'm not saying nothing. I didn't say anything. But I seen this sign. It's 2 O's on the end of the HOO. So I think that might be different.
So it's a Dunahoo.
But I seen that Chevrolet dealership billboard up on right over Chattanooga, and I seen that, and I said, I wonder if they're funded by Bank FU. I was like, just wondering. I was like, but I didn't look it up. I just looked it up on Google, and it's got 2 O's. It's
Dunahoo.
just something I was thinking about. I was like, oh. I had to look it up because I went there last week and seen that billboard, and I was like, oh, look at that. I'm always looking at stuff, and weird stuff like it catches my eye. But I don't have much except for anything else. You got anything? Happy New Year.
Happy
Merry
New
Christmas,
Year.
everybody. Happy New Year.
Everybody going to be drinking it up and partying. Just remember.
Oh, yeah.
Stay where you at. Home or wherever you at.
Watch out for the drunks on the road tonight.
Designated driver.
Yeah.
That's one
we
thing.
Still ain't got those.
Inexcusable. You should never drink and drive. There's no excuse.
No, we still ain't got those self-driving cars that could take these drunks home.
If you still had a horse, if you still rode a horse,
that's still
illegal to get
man.
home.
He might not run into something. But then again, he might not know that the carriage is behind him either.
No, just the horse.
The two horses could pass each other, and your carriage wheels could clip.
No carriage, just the horse.
Yeah, he might not know how to get home. What if he just pulls over to a creek, or next thing you know, you wake up in another state?
Oh, back in
and you're like, where'd my pants go? I'm drunk.
Back in the day when you rode that horse back and forth to town, he knew exactly where it was to get home.
Well, I'm not talking about back in the day. I'm talking about what if you just hopped on him drunk? You didn't tell him to go home, and then you just said, well, there's a nice little female horse up the road, whipped away in there in Kentucky in the bluegrass, and you woke up on a river out there outside of Bowling Green, and you don't know where your pants were because you took a shit in the woods and wiped your ass with them. You're like, where's my pants? Horse, where'd you take me? Drunk. Thought you was gonna take me home.
My luck, my horse.
You're laying on the ground, you look over there, and all of a sudden it gets up and mounts a little, mounts a well, shit. I don't know what you did. But,
my horse would be like Charlie, dog from Joe Dirt. When he gets his foot stuck in the train tracks, he says, Charlie, go home and get help. And he has to stop off to his girlfriend's. Bow, chicka, wow, wow.
That's what I'm saying. You're trying to leave the bar at the Mint Casino there in Franklin to go home, and you're wanting to go south, and the horse goes north. What do you do? Oh well, I don't know. I don't really have a lot except for don't drive drunk. Stay off the roads if you're drunk. Get somebody to drive you. But that's it for this show, I guess.
You can call me. You can call me if I ain't two bottles deep in my wine. I'll come get you.
All right, everybody. We'll see y'all next week.